Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Not Just Revenue. For the eagle-eyed of you, you may have noticed that the podcast cover has changed, but I have updated it. I have received last week my branding from the amazing Jessica Digital Creative Studio. Jess is so talented, and I knew that when I was wanting this rebrand, when I was wanting to give my brand, my business, a sort of glow up era, I knew that I was going to go with Jess. So if you need new branding, give me a shout because, of course, I've got a little affiliate link. And yeah, Jess is incredible. So there you go. My website is currently under construction. It's a bit of a mess. I've not done this like officially or properly or whatsoever. I've not carved out time in my calendar. I did rewrite to my website copy, and then I've since decided that I don't like that rewritten website copy. So now I need to go and do it again. So it's all a bit of a mess at the moment. Sometimes you might link to my website. I find a link, to my website, and it is just a mess and it doesn't look right. Just ignore it. Just close off and just be like, give me grace, okay? We're working on it. So yeah, basically all that to say, new website is incoming. My new branding is slowly being rolled out on Instagram. I need to redo my pin post. I'm not in any rush. I'm just, letting what will be. That's my little update for you this week. And this week's podcast topic that I've decided to talk on is to talk on sales calls and conversions, because just recently I've had a little flurry of engagement, a little flurry of interest, and been having a lot of sales calls, and they've been going really well, which is, great. And then I decided this morning to go back and look at the data, because she's a numbers girly, she's a data girly. And so I decided to look at the data and to look back on all my sales calls. So what I've done is I went back through my calendar bookings, just my calendar, and searched for anything around disco call, sales call, vibe check, all the various names I've used over the years. And I have written down the names of everyone and then written down, did they become a client? And if they did become a client, or if they didn't become a client, but they are still an active lead. Because I do have a few people that I've had sales calls with and they're like, yes, I definitely want to work with you. It's just now is not the right time. I have quite a few people lined up for September. I know it's that time of year where everything feels really busy right now, especially with the school holidays. And so it's I'm not going to commit to anything right now, but come September, this is when we're going to lock it in. We're going to get kind of my money stuff sorted by the end of the year. That is the kind of context in which I'm coming into this episode. Also a little bit of context for if you were, you're listening to this and you're thinking you want to work with me, I would get in touch, because as it stands right now, I have 3 spaces available. 2 of them I have high qualified leads for. So people that have basically said, yes, but not right now, or yes, I'm interested, but for September. I have reached out to one of those this morning and said, do you want to lock in and just extend, start in September, but extend your payment plan? So start paying now, but almost to reserve your spot. I might also do the same with the other person, just so I know, are you a yes or a no? Because my spaces are so limited. That leaves me with just one more spot who I do actually have, again, another verbal kind of conversation for next month. So I might be at capacity. Now I have my clients who I took in May that are coming up to their renewals at the end of this month. And so based on whether or not they re-sign is whether or not I have capacity basically going into September. So yeah, if you are interested in working with me, please do reach out, because things be happening. This is great. I'm loving life. I'm having a great time right now, focusing on one-to-one again. And yeah, that is basically come work with me. Anyway, let's talk about sales calls. Let's talk about my conversion rates. Let's talk about why they are so high and how you can implement some of that into your business. So, of course, if you're watching this on the video, hello on YouTube. If I'm looking down here, it's because my notes, I've written a few little notes to make sure I stay on track. So as you know, everything in my business is by design. Okay. Business in general, like revenue, can be designed. Okay. Now it's not always easy. It's not always as easy as, setting a revenue goal and being like, great, this is my offer, this is the pricing, let me put it out into the world. There's lots of tweaking, there's lots of trial and error. I have been in the online space for like 6.5 years now. I've been full-time in business for a few years. I know there's trial and error, and we've had some ups, we've had some downs. The first half of this year has been the most challenging ever. In the full 6 years of me being online, these last 6 months have been the most challenging from an income point of view. And I know there are a good few reasons why. It's very rarely just one thing. It won't be that one thing has gone wrong. Typically, there will be a few things that aren't working together, and I know why, but I feel like that's another episode. If you want me to talk on an episode on the first half of this year and why it didn't go the way that I thought it would, I would be more than happy to talk about that. This episode is about when I do get people on, when I do have interest, when I do have demand, how do I close so many sales calls? How do I close so many sales conversations? And I am going to be really upfront and say there is very little in terms of, you're not going to get a sales call script off of me. There isn't like one thing that I do really well that converts them. Again, it is all to do with how various areas of your business work together and how they are all aligned and ultimately how they are designed. So, as ever, with all things in business, when it comes to me, everything is tied to one concrete revenue goal. I know at any given moment, I could tell you today exactly how much money I need to make. Now, actually, this month, I don't need to make anything else. Next month, I would need to make one more sale by next month. But again, I have one variable for the end of one person that said yes, but they're going to pay this week. Another person that said yes for next month. So come next month, I should probably already have sorted that anyway. So I always know what the gap is. Okay. And when I know what that gap is, I can then start to think about how I'm going to close that gap. So I'm going to call that your spotlight, right? Your spotlight is your revenue goal. You cannot design a business unless you know how much money you need to make. Okay. And that can be yearly, it can be quarterly, it can be monthly, hell, it can be weekly, it can be daily. Some points earlier this year, I have been working on like a daily cash flow. Okay, what do I need to do today to bring in money to close this gap? Okay, that is where we've been. Thankfully now the tides have changed, but knowing that number allows you to make the strategic decisions. So let's get into some of that strategy now. So if I know what my gap is, the next part is to have really clear positioning in your business. Now, I know that positioning, I feel like, has become that's like the buzzword of 2026. I don't know if anyone else feels that. I feel like positioning has become the buzzword, or at least I feel like it was a couple of months ago. Maybe it shifted. These things shift all the time. But I feel like this year I got crystal clear on what my positioning was. That was my main takeaway, If you've been here a while, you know that end of April, beginning of May, I went on a 2-week cruise. I was offline. I was off grid for 2 weeks and I did some journaling. And the main question that I needed to answer was, what do I want to be known for? That is your positioning. That's all positioning is, right? And I wrote down without hesitation, I knew what I wanted it to be, and it is to help women take home more money from their businesses. In general, I'll help anyone, but like in a lot of my work, a lot of my original money coaching work taught me a lot around the discrepancies and the inequality around finance and the different gender and the gender biases and the gender gaps. And so it does mean a lot to me to help specifically women-owned businesses. Of course, there are then other nuances and discrepancies when it comes to LGBTQs and minorities. And yeah, there's a lot around gaps, everything that basically just helping non-white cis men. They seem to have it pretty made. But so my positioning is to help you take home more money from your business. And I love that positioning because it feels really specific, but it also allows me to be quite broad. And I know that a lot of my history and my qualifications and my skills and my knowledge lie in the financial side and lie in helping you build wealth, helping you turn that revenue into wealth. And so I will always be doing that. But I knew that I needed to also speak to the first part. So again, it's all about understanding data. And I know you're probably thinking, Emily, you've not mentioned sales calls yet. And that's because sales calls is the last piece of any of this, right? You need all of this to be working together. You need all of your business to be working together. Because then and this is kind of the spoiler of the episode, when you then get people onto a sales call, they're already sold, right? People get onto a sales call with me because they might have one or two technical or practical questions related to their situation, or they just need to hear me from my voice go, yes, I can help you. Or yes, I have helped someone in your situation before, okay? People are already sold because everything in my business is designed in a way that means that people know who I am, what I help them with, how I help them, So by the time that they get to the point of making that sales call, they already know. There's just like one or two lifestyle things that they're just like, okay, but. And once I get on a call with them and I'm like, yeah, totally hear you. This is how we deal with that. Basically, I'm just answering that last final thing before they click purchase. Or they just want that last confirmation. This is the process, right? They just want to like how it actually works, like breaking it down for them. Because there's only so much, right, we can put on a sales page. So all of that to say that basically your entire business needs to be designed in a way that makes working with you an obvious yes. So is it really clear for you how much money you need to make? What is the gap? Okay, what is the spotlight? Then we need your floor filler. Okay, this is your offer. Okay, so do you have one clearly defined offer that solves a specific problem? So let me give you examples with my business, right? I have the main problem that I solve, and this is my positioning, right, is taking home more money from your business, okay? And ultimately using that money, right? This is what I mean by it allows me to be broad, because it allows me to talk about A, the making of said money. It allows you to talk about B, the paying yourself of said money, or C, the using and building wealth from the money that you're paying yourself. Okay. So it allows me to help people in three ways, which means I'm able to get really clear with my offers. I tend to have, out of those three, if we call them 1, 2, and 3, so 1, making money, 2, paying yourself, 3, building wealth. I tend to have an offer that like A is momentum, right? That is, how do we design everything I'm talking about this episode? How do we design your business in a way that inevitably makes you that revenue and that you can pay yourself consistently? So point 2, paying yourself is already built into that anyway. And then with the second half, the kind of like problem 3, but like really for me is like problem 2, because like I said, I only have these 2 offers. I'm not even really promoting this offer yet, but I've been selling this for a long time. It's just how the packaging, right, of selling it is changing slightly. So if you know of me, then you know that I have had 6-figure safety, Bloom Your Wealth, Wealth is Perks, all the same offer, just different. We've just tried a few different ways of packaging it. And after all this time, I've kind of come to a conclusion of like, no, okay, this work needs to be one-to-one on a smaller time scale, and that is that. So it is going to be coming out. I say that this offer is going to be being promoted, but like it's already selling in the background. So revenue to wealth is essentially the second part, right? It's like, okay, you've got this consistent income in your business. Now let's make sure that you're paying yourself a set salary and how you're using that set salary. So as you can see, point 1, design the business. Point 2, pay yourself. And point 2, no matter where you're at, we can work with it, right? So either you come to me in momentum and we make sure that you're paying yourself consistently, or you come to me in revenue 12, and that's the first step. It's either the first step or the last step, right? It's all to do with the consistency of the income, and all of that is by design. And that is something that I am experiencing now, right? things started to change for me in May when I started selling momentum. And what also happened in the beginning of May, well, I had this massive journaling session and got clear on my positioning. AKA, I actually kind of zoomed out, went back to the drawing board, and I started to build my business by design again. Instead of it being kind of mishmash of all the things I've collated over the last couple of years and, I want to do this offer, I want to do that offer, I think this will sell, I think that will sell. I just went, no, what do I want? What is the goal? What do I want? What are my clients telling me? What is the data that I have around people who have not worked with me? Why have they not worked with me? Doing a bit of market research and are basically building that market research into an offer. So you've got your positioning. What do you want to be known for? And I know there are people out there that are like, I don't know, I help people in so many different ways. I need you, like, if this is me, like, giving a bit of tough love, the tough love that I needed to hear the beginning of this year is you need to pick, okay? You can do other things. You need to pick. You need to know what it is you do. You need to know so that my business positioning is brilliant because I know that people talk about me in rooms that I'm not in because it's really clear who I am, who I help, and what I help them with, right? I'm Emily, not about the name, right? I'm a money coach, I'm a revenue strategy business mentor, I'm like all of these things and more. A financial advisor, like all of it. Doesn't matter. It's not about the name. It is, I am Emily. Oh yeah, and she helps you. Like, what does Emily do? You need Emily because she'll help you pay yourself consistent income from your business. Or you need Emily because she'll help you like design your business so that you have a consistent income. Or you need Emily because she knows how to like turn your business income into personal wealth. What are people? And this is like, honestly, the best way to think about it is if your business bestie is they go to a networking event and they're talking to someone and that person is talking about, a current situation that they're in, either a problem they're experiencing or a desire that they have. And your friend goes, oh my God, you need, insert your name here. Why have they said that? And what does your friend then say next? Okay, when this person's like, oh yeah, why do you say that? And your friend goes, oh, because and she's helped so-and-so do this and so-and-so do that. It's essentially what you need to be doing for yourself 24/7. And that is positioning. That is positioning yourself. Okay. Then messaging. And messaging kind of comes under positioning. Well, and offers. It's kind of, no, we need offers first. We need offers first, don't we? As you know, there's never a plan for this episode, but just I have some notes and I've got a riff on them. So you've got your positioning and then you kind of break that down into your offers, right? So I know if my whole thing is helping you pay yourself more from your business, step one is making the money so you can pay yourself. And, the next part of the problem is what is it all for? Well, it's, so that you can enjoy your life. It's so that you can build savings and pay off debt and do all of that. Okay, well, you need to learn how to do that as well. So there we go. There's two really clear offers, right? I don't need to go, I've had sales calls, obviously my conversion rate, is 80%. That means there's 20% of people that don't buy. And that is because their problem is not solved by one of my offers. And that is fine. That is okay. We cannot help everyone and you shouldn't. If someone is not a right fit for your offer, do not create a new offer. Do not start creating content to get that one person who's not a good fit anyway. I know you're thinking, but Emily, I need the money. Emily, I need to close the gap. I'm telling you now, get clearer on your positioning, get clearer on how your offer helps or what your offer does. That's your messaging offer. Basically, your messaging is just communicating how your offer helps someone, and your offer's there to solve the problem for your positioning anyway. So all this to say, when you have all of this in your business working together, when people get on a sales call, it's not because they have questions around, they won't have questions around whether the offer works or anything like that. They will already know half the things. It's why any of you know, you go on a sales call with me, I will always lead with, I have no agenda here. I have no sales call script. I have no nothing. There's no plan. I have no note. And coming into this as just someone who I am an expert in what I do, I know now I have the years of expertise and the knowledge. I know how I help people. I know clients I have helped. I know the results they've had. I know the people that have struggled. And the person on the other side of the screen, the person who has booked this sales call, they have to have booked this sales call. They know that they're interested, right? They know that they have the problem or desire that I help with in my positioning. They probably have questions around which offer is right for them. How will this offer specifically help them in their very specific circumstances, right? Everyone, I say this with so much love, everyone thinks that they are the special snowflake and they have the criteria that means that this offer won't work for them. It's just how our brains work. Our brains will always be picking holes and like, what about this? And so we all do that, right? It's probably why if you've ever booked a sales call with someone in the past, it might be why you have done it. You are thinking, okay, but my situation. And so usually a sales call is just to answer that. And because I have the experience and the knowledge of working and I have the expertise, answering those questions is really easy, right? So I don't need to have an agenda when I come onto these sales calls. Okay. I don't need to have this script. I don't need to have a process. Okay. I simply go, hi, hello. Thank you so much for booking this call. Like, love it. So love. Usually, I will know of them. Maybe they're on my email list or, on Instagram, or I know them from, friend of a friend of a friend, all of that kind of thing. And I'm like, oh my God, it's so lovely to chat with you. Just so you know, like how these calls work. I basically don't have an agenda. We just have a bit of a chit chat. I've got some questions. You've got some questions. And we'll just take it from there. Because of that, immediately the stress is relieved. They know they're not going to be bombarded with a hard sell or anything like that. And then I go into, tell me a bit more. And I want you to treat, so many people will tell me whenever I say use the data, use market research. People are like, oh, I don't have the data. I don't have the market research. But when I say that, all I mean is that when I get onto these calls or when I'm having conversations with people in the DMs and things like that, I am asking, I want to know. I'm like a nosy bitch. Okay. Literally the first question I ask people is some variation of why now? What is going on for you right now that has made you reach out, right? That is the intrinsic urgency. Okay. That is fantastic for marketing because there will be a specific symptom or problem or something they are experiencing that has made them be like, okay, no, I need to fix this now. There will be other people in your world that will be able to relate to that. So once you have that, again, now you can use that in your marketing, right? So basically just use it as marketing, be curious, right? It's all about getting onto the sales call with the curiosity and not thinking almost trying to put that scarcity at bay, right? Trying to think, and I try and go into these sales calls and knowing okay, how can I best help this person make the right call? Okay, I don't want them to work with me if it's not going to be the right fit. I don't want to work with them. I've done that. It's not worth it. And I also know that in general, I make more sales when I just come from a place of authority, as in I know within myself, the person can come to me and if I don't know, I'll just say, I don't know. I'm not going to make something up. I don't feel the need to lie in order to make money. Okay, it just doesn't work. And so I trust that I know enough. This person, they need to hear some things from me. If they hear it from me, fantastic. And if they don't, great. And so what I will say about my sales calls is recently, almost all of my sales calls, the people on the call have been like, oh no, you can send me the payment link now. I'm in. I'm like, okay. It really is that almost final confirmation piece. Okay. So again, using that as data, this is just something I've thought of, right? If you know that people book sales calls with you when they're at they're at the last point before they make that decision. What is everything they need to know before that they're there? They need to know who this offer's for, what it helps, how it helps them, what a client, think about what they need to know in order to get to that point of okay, I have a few final questions, or I want to talk about my specific situation. What are the general things they need to know about your offer before they're there? And make sure that those are the things that you are talking about and talking about them on repeat. Yes, of course, having some sort of sales page or document that kind of lists this all out anyway, but also in your content, like your content can speak to this constantly, right? Is it they need to know that they need to have a specific problem? Well, you can speak to that specific problem in your marketing. Okay. But to summarize, I have a high conversion rate of my sales calls because people already know that they want to work with me. They know who I am, what I do, how I help before they get on the call. So that when they're on the call, they're only coming for that final bit of information. And mostly, I will say most of the time when people don't work with me, I know it was a timing thing, that I don't have the specific expertise that they are looking for, or they have their own, they don't believe that they can achieve the result. Okay. And there's nothing wrong with that. Like, we all have to work through that. And there's definitely times where I've wanted to invest in things and I've not, because ultimately, do I believe I can get that result right now? Probably not. And so let me just wait until I'm ready, or there are so many business coaches out there. Okay. Maybe I just need to go find one that works for me. I know that I am the business coach for some people out there. And so I will continue speaking my message. Obviously, if you would like to do any of this and to make sure that your offer is designed in a way that brings people in so that by the time you get them on a sales call, they are already sold on working with you, then that is the work that we do inside Momentum. Now, Momentum is changing the how I have previously marketed it. And again, this comes from reading and understanding the data and making decisions on that. So I have decided that Momentum will be 6 months, and it is going to be £3,333. That works out at around £555 a month. And my kind of promise to you is that by the end of those 6 months, you will have consistent sales. You will be paying yourself a consistent salary. I can't promise numbers as ever. I cannot promise how much that will be, but I know that we will have built a revenue engine. It's designed, basically. Your business is designed to be able to hit the revenue goal that you need. I ideally would love for people to be paying themselves £2,000 a month from their business. That generally looks like having a consistent monthly income of around £5,000. Obviously, it's going to be different for everyone, like I say, but that is kind of the aim of the work that we do inside of Momentum. If you are like, Emily, I feel like I've had the consistent income, I want to know how to turn that into personal wealth and build a retirement plan, then talk to me about Revenue to Wealth. I'm not officially promoting it yet. It doesn't have a sales page or anything like that. But if you've been in my world for a while, you know the work that I do. You know that I'm a qualified financial advisor. If you want a qualified financial advisor that has been within the money space and is going to help you, empower you to make decisions around your finances for the better of you and your family, then come and talk to me about Revenue to Wealth. Like I said, at the moment, my one-to-one availability is very limited. Thankfully, I have a son who is going to school this year, so I gain an extra day. But I'm wanting to keep that to myself, so protect my peace and all of that. Anyway, I'm going to wrap it up. It's been lovely yapping with you, and I will speak to you very soon. Bye.